Hey guys, Rian Peterson. If you bear with me, you'll see where this is going, but I want to take you back 6-7 years ago. I don't know how many of you guys that are in sales or marketing or coaches or consultants or even insurance brokers saw the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Now I think you'll agree with me that for most that gave the goosebumps, and the role was just played extremely well. And most people still talk about that movie when they try and approach clients in a similar way. If I take you even further back when blogging started, which was roughly in the late 80s, and in 1997, I think the first web blog started. The reason I'm talking about this stuff this morning is because most sales-orientated organizations still use that methodology to engage with clients. And you might laugh at me and think this is not true, but it is true. I speak to sales kind of organizations on a daily basis. And this is still the major approach that people use to go after clients. Things like blogging, emailing, cold calling, door knocking, and they might not call it cold calling because they say they do the research and then they have a very good pitch and a very good approach towards the client. Let's take LinkedIn for instance. How many people do you know when they ask you for a connection and when you accept that connection, what's the next step that happens? The first thing that happens in 80% of the cases is you get a pitch. Hi, Rian, thanks for connecting with me. This is what I do. If you'd like to chat to me, let's do a call. Now, let me ask you this. How much of that do you think works in this marketplace? I think everyone in the marketplace is pretty fed up with sales pitches, email approaches, LinkedIn approaches. No one reads Facebook blog pages anymore. You might listen to a few podcasts out there. But unfortunately, these things don't make people buy. There might be a 1% purchase over a blog. We used to blog, and I used to blog extensively. But not once did people actually approach me and say, oh, Rian, I love that blog post. I'd like to engage with your services. I still see coaches and trainers out there, and this is nothing bad intended against coaches and trainers. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of sales training out there in the marketplace where people would teach how to engage clients. How do you speak to clients? What's the power questions? What's the body language, the NLP way? How do you approach people? How do you close the deal? You know, how do you get to the yes, get to that yes? And I was one of those people that used to do it many, many years ago. And when you need to have the closing techniques and the sales pitches and the power questions, I'm prepared to go out on a limb and say that if you do that, your product or service is probably not worthwhile, that people are going to buy it or people actually want your product or service. And I know it's a pretty harsh statement to make, but if you need to hardcore and sell your services, there's probably a reason why people need to be convinced and closed into a deal. And unfortunately, those transactions don't last very long. People try and get out of them because it's pressure sales and you've utilized all the tools and people have trained you extremely well. What is the eye contact? And push people for the yes and get to that moment where you put the pen down and be quiet and sit back and wait for the client's next action. Unfortunately, buyer's remorse is pretty real in this marketplace. Now, when we take the successful organizations and the successful individuals out there, they don't need to sell. They don't need to sell their services and products. And you can ask any of the successful people that you know, and I'm talking about the 1% out there. They have a queue of potential clients waiting to engage with them. And they don't need to close the deal. They actually just need to have a conversation to decide whether or not they can add value to that person or that organization, and whether or not they are fit to engage that company. So sales pitches and things are unfortunately still taught in most of your organizations but your results are going to be the same. You're going to have buyer's remorse. You're going to sit with sales type of organizations that continuously have to hit the phone, knock on doors, spam email people, blog, things like building up your Facebook following and people following you on Facebook. If you think that is where people purchase your products, you're making a big mistake, and I think you need to start tracking those activities. And most are still engaging on things they don't really deliver, but they've been taught that's the right way. You've got to build a following, and once you've got 2 million people looking at you, people will still buy. I actually had a case not long ago where a client came to us and said the previous organization they engaged with said, I'm going to teach you how to blog, and I'm going to show you how to do it really well, but don't expect anything for the first 12 months. 12 months, guys. I mean, if you've got to wait 12 months to engage with clients or to sell your services or for people to engage with your services, it's ludicrous. I mean, who's got 12 months to wait before your first client buys? Even if you've got 12 million followers on a YouTube channel, you need to start thinking about recipes in your business that really work. And if you look at the top organizations and the top individuals out there, there's a couple of things these guys do right and these ladies do right. And one of them is that they are extremely client focused. In other words, they delve into a specific problem they would solve for companies and for individuals, and they're really good at solving that problem. And that's why people come to them. People come to them because they are solution orientated, not because they're great closers, and not because they got a great blog site, and not because they've written a beautiful email that engage people. They solve problems, period. And that's what they do, and they do it extremely well, and that's why people line up to engage with them. When you compare, let's say, a business consultant, and you take an extremely successful business consultant in any environment, from anywhere in the world, the successful business consultant has a couple of things they do completely differently than the rest of the market. Number one, they solve problems for people. They don't solve them over 17 different steps if they can do it in 2 steps. They focus on solving the client's problem immediately or as soon as they can solve the problem. So no fancy bells and whistles. The other major difference between the successful people and the non-successful people is the way that they engage with clients and the way that they attract the right kind of clients into their lives and into their businesses. And I can promise you this, that they don't cold call and they don't spam email. And they might have a blog, but they have a blog just to inform clients and to add further value, not to attract clients and not to do further business, but to differentiate themselves in the marketplace and to become that thought leader that adds value back. And they're prepared to have a conversation with most individuals and most businesses without a sales pitch, but to see whether or not they are a fit. And there's no pressure. You'll see that those people and those individuals will never pressurize you into an appointment or making a sale or doing a demonstration. They would be very casual about what they do, and they've got the confidence over the phone or when they have a meeting with a potential client that they know they are really good at what they do. And it's actually it's put across to the client, and the client's under pressure to get in with that coach or that consultant or that organization, whether you're in telecoms or whether you're in insurance or coaching, it doesn't matter what it is. The pressure comes back to the client side to say, listen, I actually need the person's solution. I really want to deal with this person or this organization, and I need to be in line with what their requirements are, not vice versa. So no more sales pitches, no more pressures. It's me as a client, I want to do business with you because I know you can help me and you can push me across the line with a problem that I have. So the roles have reversed from great sales organizations that were pushy, and we had to do it because we didn't have all the facilities available and all the digital media and all the ways that we could really get our message across to our entire target audience across the world. We didn't have that available 20 years ago, but now we have it available. So we don't need to reach out to clients anymore. if we do it correctly and our recipe is professionally implemented over the digital platforms, such as videos or webinars, which are great tools to utilize to get the message across to clients on what you do well, what is the problem you solve, and how you solve the problem. And if you then utilize your social platforms professionally without a sales pitch, you can get that message to your target audience, extremely targeted, and you can get people to start coming to you or your organization to say, listen, I like what you say, and I like the way that you are presenting the solution for the problem, and I have that problem, and I might not have that problem today, but I might have the problem tomorrow. And then I remember, oh, Rian put this thing across, or Tony put this video on social media, or watch this webinar of a solution to my problem, and I will engage this client. So what I'm trying to say here today, guys, is that most of the things that are being taught, that are being done in organizations to get new clients are backwards. It's back to 1997 or 2013, the Wolf of Wall Street, or blogging. And unfortunately, when you start investigating those things, you'll see that none of those deliver a sustainable amount of revenue and new clients engaging with you. All you need to have a system in your business that is professional, that is non-salesy, and you need to put that in front of your target audience. You've got all these platforms available, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or Facebook groups or Facebook advertising or LinkedIn advertising. And when you do it professionally, people will look at it, and when they associate with your service and the solution that you have for your service, they will engage you. There's around 1 or 2% of the marketplace, and I'm talking about worldwide, not just South Africa, that have implemented these strategies. And we do it on a daily basis for clients. And when you do it correctly, you will see the difference in your business, because now you're not on the back foot when someone comes to you and says, tell me more about your service. It's not a pitch. It's a business conversation about the value that you can add to the organization. And there's less pressure when people come to you and you don't need to reach out to them. Then it's not a sales pitch anymore. Then it's a business conversation. And if you've got 10 or 15 or 20 of these calls on a monthly basis with clients, there's a lot less pressure on making the sale or closing the deal or getting the client to sign for your business offering, because you know there's another 18 or 20 clients that you're going to have a call with over the next 30 days. So there's no pressure on closing this specific deal, no matter what the size of it is. And once you start doing that, you will see the change in your business model. You will see the change in how your salespeople and your marketing teams engage clients, because there will be no more pressure on closing the deal, but you will start focusing on whether or not you can deliver value to that specific company or that specific client. And that's what we should be doing. Stop pitching, stop doing things that worked 20 years ago because we didn't have the facilities and the media available 20 years ago. We had to do it. But things have changed, and change is hard to accept, and it's not easy to move forward. But once you do it, you will see a huge, huge difference in your business. I hope that was valuable, guys, and please start implementing different strategies. Stop putting your salespeople under pressure to do telephone calls and to do all kinds of things that don't deliver in the marketplace. Have a good one. Cheers.